And we begin first up with the latest on the situation on the Strait of Hormuz. Amid the US blockade of the strait, it has now emerged that Iran is mulling to allow ships sail freely through the Omani side of the Hormuz Strait. This is according to a report by Reuters that Tehran had made this proposal in negotiations with the US. However, the report notes that Iran is willing to make this concession only if a deal is struck with the US to prevent renewed conflict. Control over the Strait of Hormuz is among the key sticking points in Iran-US negotiations. Sandwiched between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, the narrow strait is critical to the flow of global oil and natural gas supplies. Usage of the Omani territorial waters without any hindrance from Tehran could very much pave the way for safe shipping through the strait. But on ground, the situation remains volatile. Mohsin Rezai, the military advisor to Iran's supreme leader, has threatened to sink US ships in the Hormuz. It was in an interview to the Iranian state broadcaster. He warned that Iranian missiles could target US ships and even destroy them. This warning comes amid a US blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. US Central Command claims that in the last 48 hours of the blockade, it has successfully turned back as many as 10 vessels trying to sail out of Iranian ports. While the US maintains that no ship has made past the blockade so far, maritime data has contradicted Washington's claims. Tracking data suggests that a sanctioned Chinese tanker crossed the strait but was twice forced to make a U-turn. The tanker is now reportedly anchored close to Iran's Qashem Island. The Chinese-owned tanker was blacklisted by the US in 2023 for helping Iran evade energy sanctions. In fact, earlier, President Donald Trump had urged allies to join US efforts in the Strait of Hormuz, but so far, European and NATO allies have snubbed Trump's request. The issue has strained transatlantic ties, and in the latest, Trump has even hit out at Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, saying that US ties with Italy is not the same as before.
Do we still have the same relationship with Italy right now and Giorgia Meloni?
No. She's been negative. Anybody that turned us down for helping with this Iran situation, we do not have the same relationship.
Meloni and other European leaders have stressed on the importance of reopening the strait, but have refused to extend support to US military efforts. German Foreign Minister has also echoed similar views, calling unilateral stranglehold of the Strait of Hormuz as clearly unacceptable.
It definitely can't be that sea routes like the Strait of Hormuz are being controlled by a single state and that tolls are being collected. This is unacceptable, and we will demand that a complete opening of the Strait of Hormuz is guaranteed once again.
Wir werden darauf dringen.
In wake of all these developments, US has announced that it is tightening sanctions against Iran's oil industry. The US Treasury has imposed fresh sanctions on over 24 people, companies and even ships operating under ship magnate Hossein Shamkhani. He is a son of Ali Shamkhani, who was an advisor to Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Both were killed in the February 28th strikes. For more on this, my colleague Susan Tehrani has sent us this report from New York.
CENTCOM says that the U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports is fully operational. More than 10,000 troops, a dozen warships, and over 100 aircraft are enforcing it. The blockade is estimated to be costing Iran $435 million a day. At Wednesday's White House press briefing, Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed that the U.S. has not formally requested a ceasefire extension, which expires next Tuesday, but said that future talks and negotiations would very likely return to Islamabad. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent went further, warning that the U.S. is preparing to apply secondary sanctions on countries buying Iranian oil or holding Iranian funds, calling it the quote-unquote financial equivalent of the bombing campaign. He also said that he's optimistic that gas prices here at home will fall back to the $3 range anytime between June and September. Meanwhile, key sticking points in negotiations remain between Iran and the United States, as the two sides seem no closer than they were at the start of the war. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World this One.